Hi there, and welcome to the Cult of Cinema, and to a very special episode, a list episode. I guess this is probably going to be called a top 10 list, when it's not really, it's more like a top 12. You'll understand as we go through, or maybe a lucky number 13. I've actually got them all listed here, and I haven't put them in like numerical or like best to least. I've just like top 13 of my favorite releases when it comes to this company. So a top 13 look into Howlin' Wolf Records. So for those that don't know who Howlin' Wolf Records are, well, we should probably do that first before I go to my top 10 list. Gotta feed the algorithm, guys. So right here is Howlin' Wolf Records. Basically, they do like CDs for soundtracks and a lot of stuff that you would not expect. I think this is the latest one that's coming out from them. Once I receive it, I'll review it for you guys. I'm looking forward to this one. It's Storm Morning by in Crawl Space, a 2 CD set by my good friend Jamie Blanks, and it was a very, very great guy and does a lot of wonderful things for this channel. Now, Wall from Howlin' Wolf Records a while back had reached out to me and sent me some stuff, and I listen to soundtracks on a daily basis. It's kind of one of the things that I like to do. I love music. And I have a lot of Howlin' Wolf Records. Actually, I've got almost the complete catalog, I think, of their stuff, except for probably the latest one. Now, so what I normally do, for those that don't know, is that when I'm working on stuff like this, when I'm working on making a video, when I'm kind of like designing it, I don't really script things out as much as some people do when it comes to YouTube, but I do have like kind of my points and my spots that I like to hit, that I want to know. So it does take a while to sound as random as I do. So often I'll be upstairs and I'll be like researching some stuff, or I'll be reading, or I'll be like I'll watch sometimes I'll be watching films that I watched before, and I'm just checking, like just basically checking quality, or what I'll do, or sometimes a foreign film, I'll turn the sound right down and I'll like put the subtitles on. Sometimes even if it's not a foreign film, and I'll just check the subtitles. I'll be watching those as well. And when I do that, I normally have a soundtrack on in the background, and it's a lot of Howlin' Wolf stuff. So one of the questions I get asked too when it comes to Howlin' Wolf is why CDs and not records? Do I collect? I do collect records, actually. I do have a little bit of a record collection. But CDs are much more accessible for me when it comes to being able to listen. Whether I put it on my Xbox or my DVD player or my PS2. Not my PS4, because PS4 as a system really sucks. You can't play CDs, actually. Hot take right there. CDs can be played anywhere. A record is a bigger, bulkier thing, which is fantastic, but you got to be able to play it in specific places. A CD, I can pretty much, no matter where I'm at, or if I'm in my movie library, or if I'm upstairs, or if I'm here, I've always got something that plays CDs on either floor. So that always helps, and I do love to listen to music, especially soundtracks. So without further ado, let's get into my top Howlin' Wolf soundtrack releases and the ones that I listen to the most. We're gonna start. A lot of these are going to be movie related because they do soundtracks. That's the thing, but not everyone is a movie, so stay tuned for that. So first off is a classic film with a classic soundtrack, and it has 28 tracks on it. So 20 regular tracks, and it has like 8 bonus tracks as well, and it is the classic Ganja and Hess. So this is a great soundtrack as it goes. I'm not reviewing these right now. I will be reviewing a lot of these like on their own, because I usually do like 2 to 3 reviews when I do these on the channel. These all have great booklets in here, which I strongly recommend you check out, because the write-ups, the pictures, it's just all fantastically done. So if you've never checked out Ganja and Hess, well, one, Ganja and Hess is a classic film. Why have you not checked it out? And two, if you have checked it out, then this should be in your collection. It really, really should be, especially if you like soundtracks. And we're going to get through some really good stuff. So if one doesn't hit your fancy, trust me, one of these will hit your fancy. I'm gonna put it straight. There we go. I want to be sure, because I want to be careful with the booklets. I'm very, very careful with my media. Next up is, one, it's a cool little action film, but two, it's an Albert Pion film. Soundtrack's actually pretty damn good. And the neat thing about it is I never thought I'd have an Albert Pion soundtrack in my collection, but I'm so glad I do. And it's Mean Guns, actually. So it's Christopher Lambert and Ice-T. It's a pretty cool movie. I actually like this film. But I really like the soundtrack. The soundtrack of this one is actually really good. We have some actual, like, not just like instrumental music, but we have some actual songs in here as well. So definitely check those out. Mean Guns. And next up, when I said everything wasn't a movie soundtrack, it wasn't. One of them is actually from a favorite video game of mine. So when I realized that Howlin' Wolves had put this out, I was super stoked because I love the game. And I've played every iteration of the game, the good ones, the bad ones, and the in-between ones. And that is Shadowgate. So for those old school gamers here, you probably remember Shadowgate. It was a really cool game. And again, it is a 26... I should tell you, I mean, there's 23 on this one. There's 26 tracks on here, including some early demo tracks, which are really kind of cool. Because you get to see how how it helped progressed. Loving the artwork on the inside right there. And next up is one of the non-horror ones. I'm from the 80s, of course. And this is a little film that... Let me know if you guys are aware of this one. Because I wasn't, actually. I went looking for it. But this is The Toy Soldiers. And no, not Toy Soldiers. That's a different film altogether. But this is kind of an 80s coming-of-age film. The Toy Soldier is a... if I remember correctly, it's a roller disco rink. I'm looking for this movie, actually, so I can actually watch it. But because I actually do like the soundtrack. I really like the soundtrack to this one. Main title tracks, the 1980s right away. You got me right there. There's some music here by Gliss and some by Daily Bread. So definitely a different one. I think it's going to fall under the radar for a lot of people. But definitely one to check out, especially if you like 80s stuff. A lot of these here always have like... I love these here, kind of like taglines. The bad blood runs between them forever. And the artwork on these are utterly fantastic. Again, booklets are always great. We're getting into the next category here, which is my Christmas horror. Howlin' Wolf likes Christmas horror. You can tell. They put out a few different Christmas horror soundtracks. And here are some of my favorites, because I love Christmas-themed horror films. One of the more modern Christmas horror films that they put out, and I actually was surprised to see this one, but very glad, is Better Watch Out. So I actually bought this movie here at Walmart when it came out. Right when it came out, it wasn't that expensive. I knew nothing about it, never heard of it before, and I'd kind of slightly recognized the girl on the box cover as being from M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit. But the movie was fantastic, and you know what? The soundtrack is great as well. So Better Watch Out, incredible soundtrack. Great to go along with the film. And I love I love taglines. You might be home, but you're not alone. Next up is one of the better revisionings of a franchise in a while, and that is Silent Night. So, actually a cool film with Malcolm McDowell as the, I guess, kind of a kick-ass sheriff. Or a sheriff that thinks he's really kick-ass anyway. Really good soundtrack for this one here. We get like 24 tracks on here. By the way, this one here has 17 tracks. Got a good booklet on the inside as well. Gotta love that. Classic scene from the film. And if you think, well, that's good, well, what about the original film that, it was based on? Well, it's right here as well, Silent Night, Deadly Night. This is one of their 2-disc CD soundtracks. And I will say this right now, that if you do not have this CD in your collection, you're missing out. This is probably one of my go-tos, and I will be listening to it a lot during Christmas, especially the second CD, because it does come off like an actual Christmas CD. It's sure it's the second CD, yeah. So they have like actual a lot of songs on there from Morgan Amos. I hope I got the name right. Or Morgan Ames. Really, really, really good. And speaking of which, here's a soundtrack to a movie that's got a fantastic soundtrack, but you know what it doesn't have? A really good edition of the film yet. And that is Silent Night, Bloody Night. So Silent Night Blind Night so far has only ever gotten a good DVD release. Has never gotten a good Blu-ray release. I hope it does in the future. This is like pure soundtrack because basically it is 13 tracks and it is like suites broken up into suites and movements. So if you're digging that type of stuff, then yeah, I was, and I really enjoyed this one. I'll take this one out here because this is one of the thinner booklets to show you guys. So there we go to talking about the composer right there, and they do go. There's a section on the score of the film, and there's a section on the film there itself. So really cool little one. Really enjoyed that. But we're going to get to one that I enjoyed even more next. And this was done by Krog. And this one here is the Boogie Man. This is Uli Lummel's Boogie Man, the original, not the 2000s Boogie Man that wasn't that great. That had like 2 or 3 sequels. But this one here also had a couple of sequels. But Uli Lummel's Boogie Man was fantastic. It is not a lot of tracks on here, but there's some bigger tracks. Around 14 tracks altogether. But you can't, you just can't add tracks just to make it bigger. But it's cool. I love the broken glass there, which is the broken shards of the mirror. Good booklet in here as well. Huge fan of the film. Huge fan of the score. Now the next one is actually 3. It kind of goes together. And that is, it's a Malevolence trilogy. So yes, if you've seen the Malevolence film, Howlin Records actually put out all 3 soundtracks to all 3 films. So we got here Malevolence, which has an excellent soundtrack. It has 32 tracks altogether. So, kind of sink that in there. And this one has a bit of I like the booklet on this one, so I want to take this out for you guys. Because it is cool. So you open it up, and it kind of comes out like this, right? Which I really kind of dig. A big write up here on Malevolence, and I actually really did like that film. I like the trilogy actually. Let me know what you think about them down below. Next up after Malevolence, of course, was Bereavement. So this one is here, and again we get like 37 tracks here, and including some stuff here like Acid Tears performed by Spitshine. It's on here as well. Like these are like some massive ones. Like what's the total runtime of this one here is 77 minutes. That's a really good length on a soundtrack. Look at the back there. So you can see the cute girl as well. There you go. You're welcome. Okay, and Malevolence 3 is right here too, and that's Killer. And this one again has 30 tracks, so we get some amazing stuff on here. And it really did make me want to go back and rewatch the Malevolence films, which I actually am probably going to do in the very near future. I think I have some of them downstairs. I got to make sure, though. I'll be kind of disappointed if I don't. Next up is one that is part of a modern franchise, kind of a redone franchise. I actually like this film, but I really dug the soundtrack as well. It's a different film. Some people didn't like this one, but not the soundtrack. I think you're going to like the soundtrack. Some people didn't like the film. I Spit on Your Grave 3, Vengeance is Mine. Takes a very different turn from the original Spit on Your Grave, and I actually really, really dug this one here. And again, there's a booklet on the inside. Let's see if I can show you the booklet. Let's see what I can show. I think I can, because this was one of the tamer ones in this franchise. There we go. I can show you that. The knife on the back. They have some amazing booklets here. Just some incredible write-ups. Got 2 more to go. Then you can count and see how many that was. Count the Malevolence one is 3 though. I think it's 13 altogether. Next up is Richard Einhorn's The Prowler. This was one of their most kind of recent release before the latest one came out, and this is fantastic. This is a great one. We have like 35 tracks on here. Certain ones like really stand out to me. This was one of the ones that I listened to the most initially. I really put this one on and ran out a lot, and I still do. I still run this one quite a bit. but the Prowler is a great, great one. And last but not least, and I left this one last for a reason, because we're going to be eventually, I'm working with Wall to do a contest on this, a giveaway contest. So one of their most popular ones that they did, and one of the ones that actually initially sold out, was Richard Einhorn's like Shockwaves. So Shockwaves was out of print, but they are doing another printing of Shockwaves. So if you missed out the first time, you're going to get a chance to get it again. Keep watching the channel, because I will be doing a giveaway for from Howlin' Wolf Records. So keep updated on that. And look at this. Look at the artwork on these. Look the way they put these together. And again, this is an incredible soundtrack. Richard Einhorn, you know it's going to be an incredible soundtrack. If you're into music at all, if you're into like soundtracks, you know his stuff is fantastic. There is a great booklet on the back here. Back, great booklet, great pictures all the way through. Really cool write-ups. I love the way this is done. I love the kind of style they use with these pictures, with these kind of snapshots. Excellent, excellent film. Really dig this movie. Really dig the soundtrack. So there you go. 13 soundtracks. Would have been 15, but bereavement, Malevolence, and Malevolence 3. Killer counts as 1, because I say so, because it's my channel. But this will be listed as a top 10, because algorithms for top 10, that's how they like them. If you have not checked out Howlin' Wolf Records, again, here they are right here. And as you can see, that is howlinwolfrecords.com. There's no G, so that's not howling, it's Howlin. Wolfrecords.com. The most recent release is Storm Warning Crawl Space, which hopefully I'll be doing a review of in the near future. I will let you know when I get that one come. But they have so many great releases. There's so many things that I didn't put on here, didn't list, didn't mention. That things like both of the Dead films are here. There's a soundtrack to Jacob is here. There's some neat little stuff you wouldn't expect as well. Tales of an Ancient Empire. Some really, really cool stuff. And there's like stuff like Midnight Movie, which I reviewed and gave a really good review to, and it still is a fantastic one. It's just everything couldn't make it onto this list. But there you go. I have found for you some incredible little films. Yeah, well, hopefully you've seen the films, but some incredible soundtracks for you guys to check out. Howlin' Wolf Records, right here in the Cult of Cinema, the Cult of Cinematic Music. And as always, right here in the Cult, there is always another movie, and there is always another score. I'll see you soon.